So the detox dude, I mean, obviously you're big on detox, like
Yeah.
and before I even get to your story of how you became the detox dude, why'd you go with that name?
Why did I go with that name? Well, I loved Detox when I started to learn about it and find out about it. And I had a
Yeah.
friend who was kind of helping me through the journey, and we thought we were going to open up a business together. So we called it Detox Dudes. And then turns out a week later, he was like, ah, yeah, this isn't really for me. So, yeah. Yeah. So,
Probably a good thing. It's always tough
yeah.
to work with friends, right? It's like friends and
Yeah.
family. I work with my father, so I know this. It could be tough, but so you're the detox dude now.
Plus, actually, I think it was better because we do a lot of community-based events. So Detox Dudes is more encompassing versus just Detox Dude. So
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it. And obviously, we live in this day and age where everything around us is basically a potential toxin, the fragrances, the EMF, like so many things. When you go back to your story of getting into this and finding out about the mercury, how long was it before you really started to pinpoint toxicity as this root cause for what you're going through?
well, when I was living in the Amazon jungle when I was ill, I
Yeah.
decided to move to the Amazon because I was not in love with the Western system. And I thought, oh, you know what? These shamans will have the answer, and it's a spiritual crisis. And partially I was right, but that's not obviously the whole truth. So when I was there, I met a lot of people who were doing cleanses. Now, these were the basic type cleanses where you have maple syrup and lemon and the master cleanse. And one person was doing like Epsom salt and olive oil, Another person was doing only lemon water for 20 days. So these were still good fasts and cleanses, but they weren't addressing heavy metals and parasites. So I started learning about detox in the Amazon jungle when I started seeing what was coming out of my colon through ayahuasca, through my fasts. I was drinking juice for 7 days in a row, but I was evacuating every single day. And the smells were unbelievable. So I was like, wait a minute. If I'm not eating and this is coming out of me and it's this color and it smells this bad, it must be, there has to be something to this whole detox world. I brought very few books with me in the Amazon. One of the books I brought was The Tao of Health, Sex, and Longevity by Daniel Reed, or the Tao. And basically, that book teaches about doing 7 day cleanses 4 times a year, right, with bentonite clay and psyllium husk. And that's when I started diving deep into that. It wasn't until years later that I actually understood there was another tier to the detox journey. When you start talking about intracellular detox, because you could juice fast all you want, but if your brain is destroyed from heavy metals, if your nerves are fried, if you have bad parasites, none of these surface level colon cleanses are going to, really, I mean, they'll make you feel better than the average American, but you're not going to get where you really need to go. So it was years later that I learned about the intracellular world and binders and chelators and all of this other stuff. And that's when my world completely changed, and my life, that's when I got my life back.
Yeah, I mean, your journey is really interesting to go to a place like the Amazon to do ayahuasca to purge and to still come out and be like, there is more, right? That,
Yeah.
that that was part of the journey, and the journey is kind of this ever winding, one of realization of finding new things. About that ayahuasca, I think you said you did it like 31 times or something, ayahuasca,
Correct.
right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Why that many? Like some people would say, oh, I thought it was only one time. You're supposed to have
Yeah.
revelations and change your life over it. A lot of people don't
Yeah.
understand or think it's a quick fix. Can you talk about your experience with ayahuasca?
Sure. Yeah. So I would say to start, I'm a very all or nothing type of individual. I'm very disciplined. And when I believe something has even a glimmer of hope at the end of the line, I will go through anything in order to get there. So I saw light at the end of the tunnel on the ayahuasca path. I could see how it was changing me. I could see how it was making me more present, connected to God, connected to the spaceship of Earth. It woke me up. It was like a hammer into my consciousness that, from this Jersey, I'm from the East Coast as well, from
Nice.
this Jersey arrogant jujitsu fighter to like, like more loving, grounded, spiritual being. And that it was changing me. or I was allowing it to change me and changing myself in the process. And so because of that, I did feel like there was hope. The other thing is that the level of torment that I was going through mentally, emotionally, spiritually, no one in the Western world that I had locked eyes with or conversed with, I didn't feel that they understood what I was dealing with. So I was with psychiatrists, psychologists, doctors, and when you're dealing with an illness, you can look at someone and feel if that person has been through those neurological patterns, if they've made it to the, if you can feel what, if they know what you're talking about, if they've experienced it. And when you don't feel that, it's hard to trust, it's hard to go all into that path, right? It's like, all right, this guy, my one psychiatrist went to Harvard, read all the books, but he had no idea what I was talking about. He had no idea what I was going through other than having maybe seen other clients go through it. So in the jungle, the shamans would look at you and they gave you a look that they knew exactly what you were going through. It's like they had been down that road, if only for one ceremony, they'd seen that level of torment. And because of that, I felt, okay, these guys, they know me. There's something here. There's a magic here. And unfortunately, it was more complicated than that because ayahuasca wasn't the thing that really changed my life. But that's why I stuck with it. They suggested that I do dietas, which is like apprenticeships, and I did those, and they were difficult, very, very difficult. And I felt that was my line, and that was my spiritual path. That's why I stuck with it.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up a really good point that I hear so much because, of course, my father's a doctor and I speak to patients all the time. If you don't felt understood, your treatment won't work.
Mm-hmm.
You may get symptom relief, right? I feel like that's what a lot of conventional doctors do. And I hear this story. I went to my doctor. I had these symptoms. He barely looked at me. He was looking at a chart the whole time, wrote something on a piece of paper, handed it to me and said, okay, take that. We'll see how this works. I didn't feel understood. I didn't feel he got what was really happening. They got what was happening to me. And therefore, there was no kind of human connection relation to help you evolve to actually find a healing path, right? There's a big difference between treating and healing. And what everyone should seek is that healing. And your story alone kind of shows you can have chapters in the healing. It's not one magic cure. That shaman connected with you, right? That gave you something that took you to the next level in the healing path.